Today I'm chatting with Jesai, a real test taker from India that got 160 on the Duolingo English test. Yes, that's right, a perfect score. In fact, only 0.001% of all test takers in the world get a perfect score like Jesai. And in this video, he is going to share his tips and some study strategies that helped him to get this score. And to make this video even more useful, Jesai and myself are going to answer some real speaking questions so you can learn how to answer them perfectly. Jesai, welcome to this YouTube channel. You are one of the very few students in the whole world that got a perfect 160 on the Duolingo English test. Tell me, how did it feel when you saw your certificate for the first time saying that you got a perfect score?
Thanks so much for having me, Luke. It was an incredible feeling. I checked my score right before I went to bed. And pro tip, don't do that because you're most likely not going to end up getting sleep the next night. Yeah, I honestly didn't expect it. So I was quite startled, and in equal parts, I was also quite ecstatic. So.
Yeah, it's incredible score. I've been a teacher for such a long time, and I've never seen anyone get a perfect score. So, yeah, congratulations for that. Amazing. Yeah, before we talk about some tips and strategies that you're going to share today, can you tell us a bit about your Duolingo test journey and how getting a perfect score has helped you in your future?
Right. So right now I'm at UMass Amherst here in Boston, and I wouldn't be here without an English test. And the Duolingo was one of the only English tests I could take because I realized that I needed to take an English test a little too late. So if I had to take like the TOEFL or any other test where you have to go to a test center and schedule a test, it wouldn't have worked out for me. So it was incredibly convenient, and it was also incredibly good for me because I was able to be in the comfort of my home and take the test like in an hour from when I realized I needed it. So that's actually really incredible.
Yeah, I think that's actually one of the main benefits of the Duolingo test is that you can take it at any time and really anywhere as long as you have a bit of private space. It's kind of strange in this modern world that some of the other exams don't do that yet, right? It's why not, right? We have all this technology, why not make it easy for test takers?
Right, there's no going back. It's kind of spoiled other tests for me.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so earlier you told me that you found some hidden gems in the Duolingo test guide, which really helped you to prepare and to get your amazing perfect score. Can you share some of those hidden gems?
Right. So, pro tip to everyone here: there's this PDF that Luke mentioned that has a whole bunch of information on the core of the test itself, and it's worth reading. But if you're not going to read the whole thing, I'll share with you some of the two things that really stood out to me. So I've written them down here. The first thing is that you can actually answer a question wrong, and you're not going to get deducted score for it. So if you're ever unsure, just give it a shot because there's no harm in trying, right? There are a few tests that actually penalize you for choosing a wrong answer, but Duolingo doesn't do that. So hey, if luck is on your side, you get a bit lucky right there. The second really cool thing is that I was surprised to see how advanced the grading is for like the speaking section of the test. Now, before I went into the test, I knew that it's an automated digital system, obviously along with a bit of human in the loop, but it's a digital system that's grading your speaking and things like that. So I wasn't going to speak exactly how I would to another human. But it turns out that it's remarkably sophisticated. It looks at things like your intonation, your inflection, how many filler words you use, like ums and ahs. So really, just forget about the fact that you're speaking into your computer and imagine it's another person on the other end. I think that's going to really help you improve the score in the speaking section. So those are two things that stood out to me. And also in the same line of what helped me study, Luke, your videos, they were incredibly helpful.
Thank you.
I very vividly remember rewatching multiple times the video on how to prepare for like picture description questions where you go through the foreground or the background. So yeah, don't just take my word for it. Luke's videos are incredibly helpful. And finally, also once you realize which sections you're slightly weaker at, you should do the practice tests for those specific sections. So other than like the overall practice test, there's also like an option to do specific practice for each section that you're weak at. So those are the three things that really helped me.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to touch on number one first. So your first tip was that you are not deducted more points or further points for
Mhm.
writing an answer and making a mistake. I get this question all the time, and I never really understood it because I wasn't aware that other tests did that. They call it what they call it. They call it
I think they call it negative marking or something like
negative
that.
marking. That's it. Yeah, I get a lot of emails asking about negative marking, and I had no idea because I was like, yeah, sure. If you get a question wrong, you're not going to get a point. But yeah, that's yeah, really useful tip. Next one was about the speaking system, the speaking scoring, and how sophisticated that is. So yeah, I'll put it on the screen right now so everyone can see. This is the scoring guide, and it's in the official guide that Jesai mentioned. You can download it for free. There's a link below in the video description, and you can see all of the areas of speaking that is actually assessed, which shows that the Duolingo test is not a simple test like some people think. It is actually very complex and very advanced.
Mhm. And if I can add to that, the fact that the test is so sophisticated is actually really good news for students because it means that if you actually learn the structure of the test and you're familiar with the structure and you also have tips in mind, like the stuff that you share in your videos, you can
Yeah.
actually significantly boost your score. Like even a native speaker is not going to score 160 on their first try of the Duolingo English test.
Yeah.
It's not every day that you're going to have to stare at an image and describe it for 3 minutes straight. So yeah, practice is really, really something that will give you a better score. And I think that's really beautiful. So regardless of what your score is, if you practice and you just like know some of the strategies in your head, your score is going to get boosted.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, Jesai here, we can all tell he's a very confident young man with excellent English. But like he's saying, he didn't just take the test on a whim. He did prepare. He watched some of my videos, thanks for mentioning, and took the practice test and also the practice sections, so the specific questions on the test. And that's a really great free resource everyone can use to prepare. And yeah, that's exactly how you should prepare for any exam and all, including a Duolingo test. So far, we've talked about some kind of strategies for preparing for the test and getting ready. How about doing a practice question, Jesai? We'll do a speaking question each, and then after that, we'll discuss how the speaking question went for us. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, great way to start my morning. Sounds
Yeah,
exciting.
right. Okay, so Jesai, this is going to be your question. It's on the screen right here. I'll give you 20 seconds to prepare, just like on the real exam, and then let's get to it, and we'll see how a 160 student answers a speaking question.
A gift that I gave to someone recently was a gaming computer that I gifted to my younger brother. Before I moved halfway across the world for university, I wanted to gift him something special, something that could get us closer together. And one of the ways I really bonded with my brother was by playing video games together. So there was no doubt in my mind that this was the perfect gift for him. And I didn't just give it to him. We actually spent an entire evening building the computer together. And that moment of shared camaraderie, that palpable joy that we shared, that's something I'll never forget. We debated which video games are best. I was able to share my love for technology with him, and the moment of ecstatic joy in his eyes as we booted up the computer and saw it working for the first time, that's something that we both will never forget. I'm incredibly grateful to have my brother in my life, and I'm excited that we're still going to be able to connect through this gift that I gave him. And I'm excited to still play video games with him, even though I'm quite literally halfway across the world.
Amazing answer, Jesse. I can totally see how you got a perfect score. Now you use really great vocabulary and your speaking fluency is so natural. You must have studied really hard for the test and also your English in general. Okay, so now it's my turn and I'm going to answer this question. An activity that I enjoy doing a lot is yoga. Yoga is a form of physical and mental exercise because it helps you build your strength and flexibility, but it also incorporates meditation, which of course benefits your mental health. Moving on to the second question, I've been doing yoga for almost 10 years. Currently, I'm only able to do yoga about twice a week, mainly because I'm just so busy. But in the past, when I first started, I was doing yoga almost every day. I did yoga almost every day for 3 or 4 years. And I remember at the time I felt really strong, really flexible, and in a good place mentally. Going forward, I should do yoga a lot more often because I'm in my mid 30s and this is the time of life where we should focus on our flexibility and our strength just to stay young and youthful for longer. For the third question, I do yoga by myself mainly because you don't need to be a part of a team to do it. But sometimes my wife does join me and we do it together in our living rooms. Okay, and turning to the final question, yoga is important to me right now because I'm at a point in my life where I should focus a lot on my physical and mental health, and that's why it's important. Okay, so we both answered those real Duolingo speaking questions. By the way, those came from the official guide that Jesai mentioned earlier. Don't forget to download that. So Jesai, how did it feel? How do you think your speaking answer went?
Oh, those always make me nervous, but I think it went pretty well. The thing that I always struggle with is having enough to talk about. And
Mm.
I used to like just go blank mid speaking section back when I practiced, but I realized one thing that really helped me is to kind of think of the overall ideas that I want to touch on. Like if it was a gift, in this case, I knew what the gift was, and then to also like I don't know embellish and make it a bit longer. I wanted to talk about a
Mm.
little of how we built it and things like that. And one mistake I used to make was try to like draft up the entire script in my head in that fleeting 30 seconds. And that's not going to work. So now I really just think of those key ideas. And if I still end up getting, blank, I just like keep talking. I just think of something that I want to describe and just start describing it a bit more. So I think, fellow students, one thing that's really going to help you is you don't have to worry about sharing some incredible experience of like
Mm.
meeting a celebrity or of it being like the most interesting thing in the world. You're not being judged on the I don't know the veracity, the truthfulness, neither the quality of your experience. You're just being judged on how you can like share anything. So I think that's pretty nice to know. You can just like start describing the sunset outside the window when you were building the computer or like
Mm.
anything. I think that's pretty nice to keep in mind.
And that's something I share with my students all the time. So many of the students I meet get worried that their speaking and writing answers are not interesting enough or are not advanced enough. And that's really missing the point. Your job for this Duolingo English test is to share your experiences in a natural and authentic way. It doesn't matter, like you said, Jesse, how interesting your idea is. What you got to do is just share it naturally using your full English and, like you said, elaborate and talk as much as you can about one idea. That's the great way to approach the speaking questions, especially, but also the writing questions too. So let's now talk more about some preparation tips. So Jesa, you did not just get 160 from being good at English, you got it because you also prepared well. So do you have any extra preparation tips you would like to share with the viewers of this video?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one thing that really did help me, and I think I learned this from your videos, it's to prepare some certain phrases or transition words beforehand. So in every speaking question and in every writing question, you're always going to reach a point where you want to add on something additional, or you want to emphasize something specific, or
Yeah.
maybe you want to contrast 2 points. So it always helps to just learn up a few of those words. So for example, for adding on something instead of always saying also, you can like switch that up a bit. You can be like in addition, furthermore, and things like that. So this is like 3 points. If you can just like remember like two or three additional words for addition. For instance, things like contrast,
Mm.
in spite of, nevertheless, despite, or also things like emphasis, right? Like emphatically, unequivocally. It's
Mm.
just basically 3 points, and you should really, really learn up a few of those different categories and try to use them naturally in your speaking and writing. And the second thing that I wanted to share is that so you don't always have someone to like talk to when you're preparing for a speaking test, right? And what I found to be kind of helpful was using any of these AI apps that are speaking mode. Now it's never going to beat a real teacher, and the feedback you
Mm.
get, it's never going to obviously equal a real teacher giving you that feedback. But if you want to just practice and get like extra practice and really just have something to like bounce your ideas across and like try different speaking strategies and things like that, just open ChatGPT or any app that has one of those little voice mode buttons and tell it that
Mm.
you're going to answer this Duolingo speaking prompt and just go ahead. Um, See how it helps you. So that did help me a little bit when I was like practicing at 2 a.m. when there was no one around me. So yeah. There's also a final thing that I wanted to share that really helped me, and that is doing an entire practice test. So do as many as you can, do at least one, but as many as you can, ideally. So there's so many things that you will not be able to learn without doing a full practice test. And for instance, one of those things is that how long should you keep speaking for or like writing for,
Mm.
right? Like there were so many times when I had to like I couldn't write a conclusion because I wasn't used to like doing everything back to back and then suddenly getting into the speaking flow and the writing flow and things like that. The other thing that really startled me was that how abruptly the tasks switch. So one
Mm.
moment you're done doing a relaxing fill in the blank, and then you press next, and now all of a sudden you have 30 seconds to prepare an entire speech. So that's kind of jarring, and you really want to be prepared for it.
I completely agree. Taking the official practice test is one of the best things you can do for your preparation. You said at least one. I recommend you take one a week at least. If your test is coming up soon, take more, because it not only builds your test stamina, like you mentioned, but it also gets you really familiar with all the different types of questions on the exam. Okay, thanks, Jesai. Let me now just summarize some of your key points. Firstly, you said download the official Duolingo test guide. There is a link below in the video description. It looks like this. So many people I meet who are going to take the test soon have no idea this even exists. Read it through and you'll understand all of the key points of the Duolingo test, and you'll even find some hidden gems like Jesai mentioned. Number two, Jesai said, learn some transition phrases. Learn a variety of vocabulary that'll help you with your speaking and writing. Thirdly, practice by yourself using ChatGPT, especially for the speaking. Probably an underutilized tool. You can use this to get your own speaking feedback. Use the speaking questions that are linked below in the PDF. And last but not least, probably the most important tip is to take the official practice test as often as you can. This will build your stamina and get you used to the different types of questions on this exam. This is how a 160, a perfect scorer, prepared for the test. So if he can do it, so can you, and put in the work and you will get the score you need. So Jesai, before we wrap this up, do you have any final pieces of advice for the viewers of this video?
Oh, yes, I do. So I think the most beautiful thing about the Duolingo English test is that you can significantly and quite notably improve your score with practice. No native speaker is going to score a 160 just by taking the test once. There's so many things and so many tricks you can keep in mind. Your past, present, future trick, the foreground, background, the transition words, and not only the tricks, but you also have to be really intimately familiar with the testing format. And I'm sure that you can come really close to 160, if not a 160, but you're going to come to a score that you're really proud of if you put in the work and practice. So don't give up. I think that's like the best advice that I have.
Yeah, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Jesai, and thank you for sharing your tips. I'm sure this was really helpful for all of my viewers. And please come on again, and we will talk again in the future. Thank you.
I really enjoyed this. Thanks so much for having me, Luke.
No, my pleasure.
I've done introductory videos too, so it's really cool to be here.
Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.